the executive head. He is the executive head, and he is the, as yesterday in the last class, we discussed about the governor, where we have discussed that the governor is the nominal head. But here, the chief minister is a very, very important, prominent person, and he plays a very, very important role in the state government, as he is the head of the state government, and he is the real executive. Means all the decision-taking power would be vested with the chief minister only. And he is also, the chief minister is the head of the government. The chief minister is head of the council of ministers as well. So the eligibility criteria, what we talk about the chief minister is nothing much about him, as we discussed about the governor. But in the chief minister, he should be only a citizen of India. That is a very important one. And coming to the tenure, it is discretionary. That is, theoretically, the chief minister holds office during the pleasure of the governor. That is, from the appointment, they understand and until there is a majority and there is no administrative lapses in the government, then the chief minister and his council of ministers can be in power for 5 years. And so we can say, as I told you, unless and until there is a displeasure regarding the chief minister, or if the chief minister is unable to deliver his responsibilities and duties properly, and if there is a strong opposition, or if the people are not disliked or are not liking the chief minister and his administration, then these are the exceptional cases where we can say that the government can be removed. But whereas the chief minister will continue, chief minister and the council of ministers will continue in office for a term of 5 years and maximum. And after that, again, they will go for general elections and a new government is formed. So the chief minister, as I told you, the chief minister holds a very, very important position. The chief minister acts as an prominent person in the decision-making process of the state administration as well. Now, we will try to throw light on the powers and functions of the chief minister. As we know that as discussed, the chief minister is the decision maker. He is the decision maker of the state government, and all the decisions pertaining to the state, it might be financial, it might be administrative, in all the departments, all the working of the government, everything will be vested with the chief minister only. So, in this, the first and foremost power and function of the chief minister is, the first one is formation of the council of ministers. The chief minister has the power of forming a ministry of his own choice. That is, he has a power to, petition also gives him the freedom to select his ministers. That is, whoever are elected as MLAs, then to become the council of ministers. Now, all MLAs who are as we term them as a public representatives who win the elections will not become the ministers. Only apart from the elected MLAs, only few of them will become the council of ministers. And they will be assisting, these council of ministers will be assisting the chief minister in the decision-making process of the state government. So we can say that the chief minister plays a very, very important role, and he also chooses his people, ministers, whom he can work with for the next coming tenure. So this is the first and foremost power, where he can choose his ministers whom he can work with, or with whom he can form the government. Second one is distribution and change of portfolios or departments among the ministers. That is, as I have told you earlier only, that the chief minister is the ultimate authority. He can, whenever he wishes, or if any minister is not performing well, or if he gets any criticism, then it is a responsibility and also the right, we can say, the duty of the chief minister to transfer or to allocate or change the portfolios. Portfolios means the departments which the ministers will handle or will take charge as. So these departments will be change of the departments can be done, and whichever minister he wishes to, he can transfer that portfolio to him. So the second important one, distribution and change of the portfolios. Then the third one is chairman of the Council of Ministers. The chief minister presides over the meetings of the cabinet. As we all know, he is the head of the ministers, the Council of Ministers, and he prepares, and he also, that is the cabinet ministers. Now, who are these cabinet ministers? The important portfolios which are being given to the senior most or more eligible people, MLAs, they form the cabinet ministry, and the to this cabinet, the chief minister will be the head, and he will decide about the meetings and also the agenda, everything to communicate with the ministers. Then the next point is he is a link between the governor and the council of ministers. The chief minister acts as a communicating channel or a link between the governor and the council of ministers. He duly should communicate. The council of ministers cannot go directly to the governor and meet him through a proper channel. That is through the chief minister only. With the permission of the chief minister only, they can go and meet the governor. So we can say that the chief minister is a media or link between the governor and the council of ministers. Then next is a role as a leader of the state legislative assembly. That is, the chief minister acts as or has a responsibility, and he is the leader of the state legislative assembly. That is, when the assembly sessions go on, he takes up the responsibility of the party in the legislative assembly, and whoever questions or he acts as a spokesperson of the government and makes all the important appointments of the government. So he acts as role as the leader of the state legislative assembly. Then next he acts as a leader of the party. We all know that previously also in history also we have seen that the party chief or the party head only will become the prime minister or chief minister. But at times we are seeing that the party head might not become the chief minister or prime minister. But coming to the Telangana state, we have the party chief only, the chief minister of Telangana. So he as that, so he will be coordinating between the party and the government. That is, he tries to make a bridge or between the working of the government and the working of the party. So this is a very, very responsible and important job, I can say. Then we have he acts as a main spokesperson of the government. That is, The chief minister is the main spokesperson of the state government. That is, important policy decisions of the government are made by public. That is, the chief minister only comes out with the chief minister only comes out with the decision making, and he only announces all the decisions at the state level, all the policies or whatever important decisions relating to the state government. Then and the next important function of him is he acts as a link between the center and the state also. That is, he acts as a link between the chief minister represents the state government in the various interstate bodies at the national level, and he is the main link between the state government and the union government. That is, he is the channel between the state government and the central government. That is, the central government, if the central government comes out with any queries, then it is the responsibility of the chief minister to clarify. Chief minister means it is his office which plays a very, very important role. With the knowledge of the chief minister, they will provide the information. Then the chief minister also appointment making powers. That is, the chief minister has an authority to appoint some of the important things. That is, all major appointments and promotions are made by the governor on the advice of the chief minister. Then other ministers have to depend upon the chief minister for the acceptance of their recommendations. That is, as I told you, when we were discussing the governor points, if the governor wants to appoint anybody, it is the responsibility of the chief minister to be the part of the decision-making process, and also it is the responsibility of the chief minister to give his advice, or he selects the person and advises the governor to appoint that person. As we all know that the governor is only a nominal head, means he is only having the signing authority. But whereas the chief minister is the real executive, and he has the decision-making power to select the people and to select the, we can say, for the eligible people for an important post, and we can say that it will help them to gain power all as well. Then we have the next point, power to dissolve state legislature. Power to dissolve state legislature. That is, the chief minister has a right to advise the governor to dissolve the state legislative assembly if they don't have majority, and if they are unable to go on with a proper good administration, and if there is if there is unable to give out good administration, or if they are unable to go on with the majority. Means if some of the MLAs resign from their party, then their party majority will come down. And if they have no majority or less majority in the legislative assembly, then the chief minister can request the governor to dissolve the assembly, and then after that they can again go for elections. Then we have another important, other than these important powers and functions of the chief minister, we have some of the other important things also, that functions as well. He is the chairman of the state planning board. He is a vice chairman of the concerned zonal councils, and he owns, and he is a member of the Niti Aayog. As we all know that the Niti Aayog consists of the chief ministers as members of this, because Niti Aayog acts as a think tank to the central government. Next, the chief minister and the legislature. That is, the chief minister he in the, as we all know, it is a parliamentary form of government. In the parliamentary form of government, the executive head is headed by the chief minister, and the legislators are supported to work in close cooperation to one another. So we can say that the chief minister will communicate with all the legislators of the assembly. He will help prepare the agenda. He tries to come up with the agenda of the assembly, that what has to be discussed in the assembly, what bills have to be passed, and who will present the bills, the acting of the assembly, the sessions, everything will be decided by the chief minister only. Then we have the relationship. Next is the relationship between the governor and the chief minister. Actually, the chief minister and the governor should have a very, very cordial relationship for smooth running of the government. As we all know, the chief minister is the executive head and the governor is the constitutional head. When both of them work together, then only they can develop the state in a better manner. So it is the responsibility of the chief minister and the governor to take up the state in a developmental process. But these two, as we all know, these two are the two functionaries. So these two have to help, or they have to bring about many important decisions or in togetherly, that is with a friendly atmosphere. But many times we don't see this friendly atmosphere between the governor and the chief minister, because the governor will be from other state, and moreover, apart from that, the governor will be appointed by the central government, and that central government might be of other party. So the chief minister or the council of ministers of that particular state will be of other party. So there might be, at times we see that there might be some cold war going between these two because of the different political parties. So this is all about the chief minister. Once again, I am trying to repeat the important points of the chief minister. The chief minister is the executive head of the state government. The chief minister plays a very prominent role in the state administration. He is the head of the state government. He is the head of the council of ministers. He helps in the formation of the ministries. He gives out the portfolios to the council of ministers, and he has to maintain a good relationship with the governor and the chief, between the governor and the chief minister. Then we have the State Council of Ministers. The Constitution, as we all know, the Constitution of India provides for a parliamentary system of government. Parliamentary system of government at the state level, and the governor acts as an executive head of the, acts as a constitutional executive head of the state. But the real executive is the chief minister and the state council of ministers. So the formation of these council of ministers is the procedure of formation. For the formation of the council of ministers is same with the union council of ministers. That is, after general elections. After general elections, the elected MLAs. From the elected MLAs, the chief minister will choose the ministers who are senior most, who are eligible, who have more experience in the political areas, in the administrative aspects, and who are connected to the people, who know the people's problems. All these are the important criteria which are being taken up by the Chief Minister to elect the MLAs and to choose the ministers from the elected MLAs. So we have the categories of ministers are cabinet ministers, minister of state. Now the cabinet ministers, as I told you, the cabinet ministers are the ministers who are being given important portfolios. The ministers who are being given important portfolios, they are and who help the chief minister in the decision making and who have a many years of experience and who are connected to the citizens deeply. So these are given the opportunity to become the ministers. So this we can see. Then we have the ministers of state. They enjoy the two status in the ministry. That is, these state ministers, ministers of state, they don't attend the meetings of the cabinet and they help the cabinet ministers in the department, working of their department. So we can see that the Council of Ministers have a very important role in the administration, and they help. Now, what are the functions of the ministers? The most important one are they help the chief minister in formulation of state policies. They help the chief minister in formulation of state policies, and they also help the chief minister in running of the administration. They take care of the individual departments, and also the cabinet. They also have they also have a role to play lawmaking. That is, when a law is in, lawmaking is the function where the state legislature, that is, when the government takes any decision, then it has to be announced by in the assembly. So they have to be abide by the law and they have to present it in the assembly. These are the important functions of the chief minister and the council of ministers. Then we will move on to the next topic, that is the secretariat and the directorates. Now, the secretariat, as we all know, the secretariat. Now, if you talk of the Telangana state, we have constructed, the government of Telangana has constructed a new CLU secretariat. That is, now what do you mean by the secretariat? And what do you mean by directorate? What are these? What are the important functions of them? We will discuss in this unit these all important points. Now, what do you mean by secretariat? That is, the secretariat is, the word secretariat is used to refer to the complex of departments, political heads, and the political heads are the ministers, and the administrative heads are the secretaries of the government. Means secretariat is a office, a group of officers placed at one place where the political heads of the individual department and as well as the secretaries, that is the administrative heads of that individual department's offices are placed. Means, if for example, if you take health department minister will have office in the secretariat building, and the secretary of the health department will also have office in the same building, because as we all know, the minister is the political head, and because he is an elected representative, he is the elected representative. But whereas the secretary is the administrative head, and he takes care of the working of the department. That is the whole and sole responsibility, apart from the decision making, meetings, agenda, everything is vested with the secretary only. Hence, the political head of the political head of individual department is called as a minister, and the administrative head of that individual department is known as the secretary. Now this secretariat is divided into many departments or number of departments. That is, as we know, there are many departments in the state government. For example, finance, health, education, agriculture, textiles, municipal administration, panchayati raj. Like that, we have many departments in the state government. So these government departments, now these all are having individual departments. These all are individual departments. Hence, each minister will be taking care of individual departments, and as he is called as a political head. Then we will have the administrative head as a secretary. So all the departments, offices of the political head and the administrative head are placed in the secretariat only. So we can say that secretariat is a place or a building where all the government works are done, all the decision making processes are done, and now these ministers are having individual departments, but the chief minister will take care of all the departments, and he is the ultimate authority of or decision maker of all the departments. So these ministers and secretaries will only help the chief minister in the decision making. Now, moving on to the organizational structure of this secretariat. Now, the secretariat has an organizational structure. That is, the minister is the political head, and he is rendered advice to him. There is an administrative department headed by the secretary. Now, the officers in the secretariat department are grouped into various categories. So, first will be the secretary. Secretary will be assisted by the additional secretary. Then we have deputy secretary, joint secretary, and under secretary. This is an hierarchy. That is, the administrative head of the individual department will be the secretary. Secretary will be assisted by the additional secretary or special secretary, then deputy or joint secretary and under secretary. These are all help the state government and that individual department in taking decision. And here the secretary, that is the administrative head of the department, acts as a prime advisor to the minister, and he is responsible for carrying out all the decisions and policies of that individual department. So we can say that the secretary plays a very prominent role, because when the secretary comes out with better decisions, better policies only, then the government can come out with better policy making which might benefit the citizens. So and moreover, the secretariat is a staff agency. Secretariat is a staff agency. Now, what do you mean by staff agency? When staff agency means a minister or a secretary of one department can handle or take additional responsibility of another department as well. That is, one minister or the secretary can handle two ministries or two departments at a time. That is, additional charge we call it as. So that is, they do multiple work. They do multiple work. Hence, secretariat is termed as staff agency because they take up the responsibility of one or more departments. That is the most important point to be remembered. Then after this category of secretary, additional secretary, then the under secretary, all these, then we have the next set of officers who assist these secretaries, that are assistant secretary or section officer. Now, this section officer plays a very, very responsible, important role in the department's administration. That is, section officer is responsible for the distribution of work among the various functionaries of the section and ensures timely submission of the files to the officer. That is, if you go to an office, they will say that please meet the section officer. Because the section officer is the, we can say, a connecting channel between the administrative heads and the juniors or the subordinates of the or the other functionaries of the office. And we have, after this LD section officers, he will be assisted by the assistants of UDCs and LDCs. Now, UDC means upper divisional clerks and LDC is lower divisional clerks. So these two, this is another set of functionaries which help the department in taking better decisions. Now we will move on to the functions of this secretariat. The most important functions of the secretariat are it serves as a think tank of the state government. It acts as the think tank of the state government. Now, what do you mean by think tank? Think tank means it is the secretary, the department, the secretariat comes out with the ideas of policy making or developmental aspects, or we can say that is they help the government in decision making and they give suggestions and opinions about the better policy making. That is, if the government wants to take up any policy making or any better decisions, then it is the responsibility of the secretariat to help them in the decision making. Hence, they serve as the think tanks of the state government. Then it is the main coordinating agency of the state administration. That is, now all the information, now for example, health department is there. Now in this country, in the state, we have the primary health centers, government hospitals, all this situated in various places in the state. So now these all, the promotions, the postings of the doctors, the promotions of the doctors, the working of the hospitals, the infrastructure, provision of infrastructure to these government hospitals, everything will be taken care of by the people of this secretariat and as well as, and they help in coordination, that is they try to coordinate with the the other hospitals of the state government, primary health centers in the villages, and to get better information, to coordinate, that is, what all decisions the government takes, it is the responsibility of the secretariat to pass on that decisions to the concerned departments. So we can say that it serves as a main coordinating agency of the state administration. Then the next point is it gives directions and guidance to the directorates and field organizations. That is, it helps it gives out the directions and suggestions. That is, it helps the government, the state government, in taking better decisions, and also it gives guidance for making proper decisions. Because as these IAS officers, now these secretaries, additional secretaries, they all are of the they all are the civil servants, so the government officials. So they have better knowledge and better working system. So they will help the government in taking better decisions. So it gives directions and guidance to the directorates and the field organizations. Next, it lays down rules and regulations for the guidance. That is, what all, now how the department should work. The departments cannot work on their own. So they need some guidance and directions for giving out better performance. So to do this, it is the responsibility of this secretariat to bring about rules and regulations to help the other people, or to help the others to get better system, or to get into better system. And also this with the laying down of rules and regulations in the work, and making them work in the system, will also help the state government to evaluate the work and to analyze the public system, that is, the opinion of the public, what the public thinks, what the citizens are in need of, and are these government officials working for the people? Because the ultimate motto of the state government is to provide basic services to the people in a very in a very easy manner. They should not, the citizens should not feel that there is a much tiresome job to get something from the government. So it is the responsibility of the secretariat to look up to these things, that whether they have to continue, whether how to evaluate the work, and to bring about, if they evaluate the work, they can bring about better changes, and better policies can also come in. So this is, we can say that this is about the secretariat. Now we will move on to the chief secretary. Now, who is a chief secretary? And what is the importance of the chief secretary? Every state has a chief secretary. Now, every state has a chief secretary who is the head of the general administration. Every state has a chief secretary who is the head of the general administration, who is the head of the general administration department, and who is, and this we can say this chief secretary whose political head will be the chief minister. Means we can say that The political head of the government is the chief minister, and the administrative head of the government is the chief secretary. The chief secretary. So now, why did we say that the political head of the chief secretary will be the chief minister? Because all the ministers, for all the ministers, they are assisted by the secretaries. They are assisted by the secretaries, and above all these secretaries, the chief secretary will be placed. As we all know that the chief minister is the head of the council of ministers, like that only, the chief secretary is the head of all the secretaries, and his responsibility is to take up the general administration, that is the overall administration of the state government. Hence, he is termed as a chief secretary. And he also, and his head will be the chief minister. Then he provides leadership to the administrative system of the state, and he is the chief public relations officer of the government. He is the chief public relations officer because he has to maintain good relationship with the chief minister, with the council of ministers, with the secretariat people, with the functionaries of the government, and as well as he should have better information of the citizens, and moreover, he plays a very, very important role in communication. That is, he plays a very, very important role in communicating. He acts as a mediator or a communicator between the state administration and union administration. That is the central and the state government. So the office of the chief secretary is considered so important that it has to be excluded from the operations of the tenure system. Tenure system, that is, the minimum is 2 years. The minimum, that is, the chief secretary can work for 2 years, and if the will and wish of the chief minister is there, then he can work for some more time. And that is, now who will become the chief secretary? The senior bureaucrats. The senior bureaucrats who have more than 30 years of service as a civil servant, he will be eligible to become the chief secretary. And the person who is near to retirement, that is, who has held major important positions in the government and who has a knowledge about the working of the government, then he will be given the priority or importance to become the chief secretary of the government. So we can say that at the state level, as chief minister is so important, the chief secretary is also very, very important. By the name only, we can understand the chief. Chief means head, above everybody. So now in the Council of Ministers also, chief minister means he is a head of all the ministers and the political head. And at the state, at the administrative level, chief secretary means head of all secretaries. That is a chief secretary. Then coming to the important functions of the chief secretary. He is head of the cabinet secretariat department. That is, the cabinet secretariat works on overall on control of the chief secretary. That is, what decisions have to be taken in the cabinet secretary. It's a cabinet meeting. Who are to be called for the cabinet meeting? What agenda has to be placed in the cabinet meeting? All this have to be are the responsibilities of the cabinet secretariat. Then we have the work, and he also has another important work, that is participating in the policy formulation process. Participating in the policy formulation process. That is, the Chief Secretary, while attending the meetings of the cabinet, he may be asked to express his views about the important matters which, and he is the main person or a main source of the Chief Minister to give him advice and help the Chief Minister in taking better decisions. Because the Chief Ministers, as they are the political heads, they only work for 5 years, and later on a new government might come up. So the policies which or the decisions which are being taken up by these policy makers should withstand for many years. So these for government officials or these senior bureaucrats are asked, because they are in service. They know what has to be done, how it has to be done, why it has to be done. Means they know the loopholes of the government, and they are well versed with the working of the government. So they are being an administration, we can say. So they help and they also should give better inputs for the government in the policy making. Then we have role in the follow-up of the implementation of cabinet decisions. That is, if the cabinet, after the cabinet meeting, some decisions will be taken by the cabinet. Now that decision should be maintained. That decisions should be maintained by the Chief Secretary only. That is, what all decisions have been taken and what is the follow-up of that decision, what has to be added to that decision making. So we can say that the Chief Secretary plays a very, very important role in the working of the government. And moreover, we can say that the Chief Secretary plays a very, very important role. Now we will move on to the next topic in this chapter. That is, another important point I want to add in this Chief Secretary is he maintains the center-state coordination. That is, he tries to. The Chief Secretary is the major channel of communication. The Chief Secretary is the major channel of communication between the center and the state governments, state governments. So we can say that the Chief Secretary plays a very, very important role. Now coming to the directorates. Now till now we discussed about the directive. Till now we have discussed about the secretariat. Now we will discuss about the directorate. That is, the directorate is a line agency. Now in the secretariat we discussed that it is a staff agency. Now the directorate is a line agency. Line agency means only individual departments. Only individual departments. That is, the departments which have for example, health department, education department. So they are whole and sole responsible for that department only. That is, we can say that these department heads, which have the particular heads that are known as the directors, and that office is termed as directorates. Now coming to the organization of the directorates, the organization of the directorate departments differs from the organization of the in the secretariat. That is, the senior officer of the secretariat will be assisting them in the field agencies, and also we can say that they will be tracking and keeping a record of the of these department. Now, what are the important functions of this directorate? As I told you, this is a line agency, means single department working for only one department. For example, health department. The directorate is that only health department issues, and the person, the director or the we have many other names to this director. They can be called as a director or commissioner or registrar, whatever they have different terminologies for the designations of this line agency. And they help the secretariat or in taking better policy decisions. That these directorates help in collecting the information about that particular department. They help in the policy making of that particular department, and also these directorates take care of rules and regulations, promotions, demotions, and all leaves, everything of that particular department. Means who has to be promoted, what are the rules and regulations, what are the procedures to be followed by that particular department. And moreover, if there are any vacancies in that particular department, it is the responsibility of these directorates to evaluate the vacancies and inform them to the State Public Service Commission to fill these vacancies. Now, for example, now we have the notifications, and they come out with a list of vacancies in individual departments. This selection of these, evaluating of these vacant posts will be done by these individual departments that are termed as directorates. So we can say that the directorates play a very, very important role. And they also maintain a relationship. They also try to maintain the relationship between the centers. Now, as I have taken the example of health department, now all the primary health centers, government hospitals of the country, all of them will come under this directorate of health. And the rules and regulations, everything will be passed on, and everything, what all the things, infrastructure or anything, if they need, everything will be provided by this directorate only. So we can say that apart from the secretariat, the directorate also plays. Actually, directorate is the most important agency which helps the state government in working or giving out better administration. So we can say that the directorate is a key thing or a key activity or a key, we can say, which tries to bring about or which tries to make the administration go on in a very smooth manner. So this is all about the directorates. Now, once again, I'll try to brush up everything what we have discussed in today's class. That today we have discussed about the Chief Minister, Unit 3 and Unit 4, Secretariat and Directorates. And in the Chief Minister, we have discussed about the Chief Minister, what is the how the chief minister is the executive head of the state. He is the prime responsible head of the state government. He is the head of the council of ministers. He helps the governor in the decision-making process. He has the capability and authority to change the portfolios of the ministers. He is a communicating channel between the governor and the council of ministers. He acts as a public relations of, that is, he is a connecting channel and he is the chair, vice chairman of many of the bodies. All these are the important points to be remembered under chief minister. Now we have secretariat. As I have discussed, secretariat is the place of group of officers of the political heads and the administrative heads. The political heads is the ministers and the administrative heads are the secretaries. Now the secretaries are assisted by the secretary, is assisted by the joint secretary, the special secretary or additional secretary. Additional secretary is being assisted by the joint secretary, then under secretary, then they are being assisted by the assistant secretary, section officer, UDC, LDCs, and the class 4 employees. This is the organizational structure of the secretariat. Now, moving on to the functions of the secretariat. The secretariat is a staff agency. It can take up the responsibility of one or more departments, and it acts as a think tank to the state government. That is, it comes out with various ideas of development and policy making for the government. Then we have the chief secretary. Chief secretary is the administrative head of the state, and the chief minister is the political head of the state. The chief secretary's head will be, the political head will be the chief minister, and the chief secretary, all the secretaries of all the departments will report to the chief secretary. And the chief secretary works as a connecting channel between the secretaries and the government. And we have the directorates. Directorates is a line agency, that is individual department. It is the most important function of this directorate is to prepare guidelines and rules and regulations for that individual department, and it also takes up the responsibility of conducting meetings, programs, and also these directors of these directorates, they have to attend the meetings of the ministers, and as well as they have to go to the legislative assembly also with the ministers. When there are questions which appear, they have to assist the minister in answering them about their particular departments. So this is all about the directorate. Yeah, we have a few more minutes. If you have any doubts, you can come up. Okay, good. Thank you. The next class will be.